Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I spun a wheel and as you can see, it landed on South Sudan. So, in order to form an empire, South Sudan needs to get stronger and more powerful, and that's gonna require war. As you may know, I'm not the best at Africa, so please bear with me. I'm gonna use ChatGPT to help me. So I'm here in another map, look at the difference. And the question I'm gonna ask ChatGPT is, if South Sudan were to form an empire, which countries would they ally with? So this time I'm not gonna read it, I'm gonna ask my ChatGPT 4.0 to read it out loud. Let's go.
If South Sudan were to form an empire, the countries it would likely ally with would depend on various geopolitical, economic, and cultural factors. Here are some potential allies. 1. Ethiopia. Sharing a border and having historical ties, Ethiopia could be a significant ally due to its regional influence and military strength. 2. Uganda. As a neighboring country with which South Sudan already has strong ties, Uganda could be a crucial ally for both economic and security reasons. 3. Kenya. Kenya's economic power and relative stability in the region would make it a valuable ally for trade and regional influence. 4. Egypt. Given Egypt's strategic interests in the Nile waters, it could seek an alliance with South Sudan to secure its water needs and strengthen its position in the region. 5. Sudan. Despite past conflicts, a pragmatic approach might lead to a strategic alliance, especially concerning mutual economic benefits like oil production and export. 6. China. China has significant investments in South Sudan's oil industry and infrastructure projects. An alliance could bolster South Sudan's economic development and China's strategic interests in Africa. 7. Russia. Russia's increasing influence in Africa could make it a potential ally, providing military and political support in exchange for resource access and geopolitical leverage. 8. United Arab Emirates. The UAE's investments in Africa and interest in securing trade routes and resources could make it a valuable economic and political ally. 9. Turkey. Turkey's increasing diplomatic and economic activities in Africa might align with South Sudan's interests, providing investment and infrastructure development support. 10. Israel. Israel's strategic interests in Africa, coupled with its technological and agricultural expertise, could lead to beneficial partnerships, especially in security and development sectors. These potential alliances would depend on South Sudan's diplomatic efforts, economic policies, and the broader regional and global political dynamics.
Okay guys, let's say I didn't expect all of them. I didn't expect Israel, but you never know. I'm not gonna say anything more because the comment section is gonna kill me. But I kind of was expecting the US or any European countries, like other than Russia, but the only Western country is Israel. But then there's Turkey and the UAE that are kind of like more Western than Eastern. And then there's Egypt that's a bit like this too. And then let's just say I wasn't expecting this too much. Now let's ask ChatGPT for the potential enemies. Okay, which 10 countries would they invade?
If we consider a purely hypothetical and speculative scenario where South Sudan seeks to expand aggressively, the order of invasion would likely be influenced by geographical proximity, strategic importance, and potential resistance. Here's a speculative list in order of potential invasion. 1. Central African Republic. Due to its proximity and relative instability, it might be targeted first for its resources and strategic depth. 2. Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC. Rich in resources and relatively close, parts of eastern DRC could be a target to gain control over mineral wealth. 3. Sudan. Given historical conflicts and existing border issues, South Sudan might seek to reclaim disputed territories and secure more oil fields. 4. Uganda. Proximity and potential economic benefits could make Uganda a target despite existing ties. 5. Ethiopia. Control over parts of Ethiopia could provide strategic advantages, particularly in terms of access to the Nile. 6. Kenya. Invasion could be driven by the desire for access to the Indian Ocean, enhancing trade routes. 7. Eritrea. Control over Eritrea would further secure access to the Red Sea, bolstering maritime trade and military positioning. 8. Chad. Rich in resources and relatively close, Chad could be targeted to expand control over Central Africa. 9. Somalia. Strategically important for its coastline along the Indian Ocean, although it would pose significant challenges due to its complex internal conflicts. 10. Tanzania. Control over Tanzania would further expand access to the Indian Ocean and provide additional economic resources. This speculative list assumes a highly aggressive and expansionist South Sudanese empire, which is highly unlikely given current geopolitical realities and the immense challenges challenges such actions would entail.
Okay, there we go. As ChatGPT said, this is a fictional scenario and it's not meant to offend anyone. And now I've gotten the map, all countries they are going to be invading, and obviously there's going to be a couple of bonuses. So first, let's color in the map all allies of South Sudan. Okay guys, here you go. We've got every important capital in the world here. I mean, important for today. And let's just get into this. The first country South Sudan invades is the Central African Republic, also known as the CAR, because Central African Republic, right? And immediately troops from South Sudan enter the really unstable country of the Central African Republic, even more destabilizing it. Immediately they're, I guess, good friends, since they just became friends right now. Their new good friend, First Sudan, I guess, take advantage of this and join this war on the team of their son. And they established themselves a pretty good front line over here, and a pro-Cameroon team joins the war and Cameroon supplies it. And so Cameroon can push a bit into the Central African Republic until the big boys come from Sudan and South Sudan, going deep into the Central African Republic, eventually splitting it with Cameroon. Cameroon does manage to capture their capital. Guys, tell me in the comments, is it better to keep the capital if it's captured, or to remove it just to say that the country doesn't have a capital anymore? What do you think? Anyways, troops from Cameroon push deep and the rest surrender to the red team. Okay, well, obviously we've got a little bias for our country that's going to be forming the empire, South Sudan, but let's just say they put more troops into this and they got the most land. Then Sudan got like this and Cameroon got like this, while the Central African Republic ceased to exist. The next country South Sudan is going to invade is the Democratic Republic of the Congo, or the DRC, obviously. And their mission is not gonna go capture Kinshasa, the capital, because it's gonna be impossible, but their mission is split the country into top and bottom, something like this. And they go ahead and send an ultimatum to the DRC asking for all of this land. And the DRC are like, why would you do this, bro? I'm not gonna give you so much land for free. Go ahead and invade. And South Sudan's like, you're gonna regret this. And then their ally Uganda decide to join the war as well, just to get some extra free territory. And so troops flood in towards the north of the DRC, and Ugandan troops take their time, make their way around. And then the two countries of Rwanda and Burundi decide to join this war on the side of the DRC just to protect them. And so troops from Uganda go in through the north, and then troops from South Sudan come in from the west, I guess, and then they capture the capital of Burundi. I'll just say that if you capture the capitals, they don't disappear, but please tell me in the comments, guys. Then they surround the capital of Rwanda and take it over. Now, some more troops walk in through the north. They're like, yo, Poppy, and literally all this north is captured. And then South Sudan's like, oh yeah, they weren't scared of us. I guess they're not gonna be scared of us until the end, right? So they go and push more until they've got this whole river to themselves. And then they start to face some more resistance, and the UN peacekeeping force threaten to invade if they don't stop this war. So they just stop it. Okay, so in this peace treaty, we can see that South Sudan expanded greatly over here in the south, claiming all of this land from the DRC. Uganda has claimed something like this from the DRC and something like this from Rwanda, and South Sudan claimed this from Rwanda, and they now have a puppet state called North DRC, and it includes Burundi, and like it's a vassal, you know. And then somehow the third country they're gonna be declaring war on is their own ally, Sudan. So the goal of South Sudan today is Operation Khartoum. Khartoum's the capital of Sudan. So troops come in from here. I know it looks ugly, please bear with me. And then they make a really big spearhead spearhead over here to the north, but unfortunately for South Sudan, it gets cut off by Sudan. And then South Sudan pays Ethiopia a huge amount of money to join this war on their team, and they do so, and they're also paid to rescue this huge chunk of a lot of people, which is also a lot of manpower and a lot of military. So they make the little push over here and they reconnect with this part of the military. The military is immediately evacuated back to Ethiopia and then back to South Sudan. And then South Sudan decide to be more thoughtful about this, so they go a bit more thicker so they can't be cut off, and they go and they start a really thick spearhead over here to the north until they get kind of less thick, and then they capture Khartoum. Operation Khartoum is done. But while this was happening, like in the middle of Operation Khartoum, troops from Sudan flood into the Central African Republic's captured territory until a few troops from North DRC joins, and they manage to save the day by pushing back, and then Khartoum is lost, and then the loss of power appears in Sudan. They're like, okay, let's try to protect our country. Troops immediately evacuate when they see they're about to get surrounded. So yeah, but then they surround them, and that's a lot of troops which die, and then it's all back into Sudan. And then there's like big advancement, a big push into Sudan till, yeah, this part of the Central African Republic surrenders, I guess, in a way to South Sudan. And then troops from the west over here push bigger and harder, and Khartoum is in deeper protection, and then the rest of Sudan just surrender to South Sudan and Ethiopia. There is just one real Sudan, and this real Sudan is a Christian Sudan run by Juba City. Oh my gosh, guys, this looks awful. Ethiopia got hairy. This northern part of Sudan, which is like mostly desert, it's become a puppet state. I mean, not really a puppet state, like maybe an ally of Juba City or South Sudan. It does not own Khartoum anymore, but it has some speed railways that can go to Khartoum in 1 hour from here, 1 hour from here, and 1 hour from here. And there's from like everywhere in the country. Let's say here, and many inside of South Sudan, just to show their respect towards Sudan and that they're gonna be a good ruler over Sudan, and how Sudan was a horrible ruler over South Sudan. So they're kind of showing that, and they're making like stations to get into Khartoum in minutes, like everywhere in the country. So this North Sudan, I guess, since now South Sudan is the real Sudan, and this would just be North Sudan, like doesn't have a real capital. Their capital stays at Khartoum. So this is basically their capital, and they still got their head of state going there every day. The head of state actually lives over here, like right next to the border. It's like 10 minutes away by car, so it's really easy to get to. And this is basically their White House, their presidential building, and this is their capital. So like their capital is here. Like this all is their capital city, and Juba, I guess Sudan, is okay with North Sudan having full access over all of this. Okay, well, the next country this weird South Sudan is going to invade is Uganda. And immediately they want to thicken their borders so they don't get their puppet state to be too powerful. They go and they can advance deep into Uganda. They cut them away from their lake, and they get like half of their navy, because I guess they have a lot of their navy here, like 80%, and like 20 there. So 20% of their navy, but it's fine, it's just the navy. And then they can surround them from the west. This place looks so pretty. I'd love to visit it. Kenya is excited to do some taking advantage of and start obliterating the east, and together forever nicely, and they capture the capital of Uganda. So in this peace treaty, Uganda just gets split between Kenya and South Sudan. The next country South Sudan is about to invade is their little ally Ethiopia. Ethiopia, trying to be their ally, I guess. But I guess they weren't able to. These borders are thick. The capital, there you go. And troops over here surround, like just grab all the territory that Ethiopia has gained. So they're just like, no, give me back my land. And no, they're not getting their land back. Oh la la. They're getting completely obliterated by South Sudan. I guess if they can still live like this, I guess they're not that corrupt, and I guess they're not that bad of a government, right? It's complicated. The capital's surrounded, and the rest is captured, and Ethiopia is forced to surrender. In this peace treaty, the border is simply erased. And next, South Sudan declares war on Kenya. A beautiful country, been there, loved there. And so, naval troops, which through this lake, and they make protection front line over here. They're like, okay, we're gonna protect ourselves. We're not letting anyone come over here deeper than this line. So every troop evacuates this area, and they can surround the area, and the area surrenders easily. And then they try to move a bit, but there's so much resistance and they're caught off guard. Then they try to do it again from another side, but it doesn't work either. And then they put like literally all their military coming from as north as here and as south as here to come here and help and do this. Kenya's capital is captured, and they were not expecting this. The head of state was there. The head of state passed away, and the rest of the country made a mutual agreement to surrender and accept any peace treaty. In this peace treaty, finally, South Sudan is no longer landlocked. They declare war on Eritrea. And so troops fled in from the north, removing the horrible government, bringing humanitarian aid to the poor people that live in Eritrea. They managed to cut the country into two, and from the east, they get surrounded and captured, and to the north, they lose their coastline. And an African country without coastline, especially communist, it gets more encircled and more and more and more encircled until the capital is captured and they surrender. Their coast expands immensely. Then they declare war on Chad, and I guess their capital is gone because I guess the border got really thick and it removed the capital. But let's just remember it's somewhere around here, okay? Troops cross the border and flood into deep Chad. Well, they make an operation Chad's capital, and they make a big encirclement for Chad, and Chad lose all of their military that was over there. And then the big rebellious group over here rises up in the north, as well as one over here near the nose. The capital's gone. Sudan is not allowed to join this war, as South Sudan has given them some clear laws about Khartoum if they would have joined. So they go deeper into Chad, and Chad's full government collapses, and everyone's forced to pick a side. And now some troops go in through the north. They have to walk into the desert. They're dead. They get stomped on through the north. And then this yellow team also gets stomped on by South Sudan. I'm serious. Stomped on. And so in this peace treaty, a Chad puppet state with a new capital over here and South Sudan. After independence movements over here in Northern Democratic Republic of the Congo, they rebel and ask for independence from South Sudan. South Sudan make an agreement with them, which is agreed at the end, where South Sudan would gain all of the Burundi and northeastern DRC territory plus the capital, which was the capital of Burundi. But they accept because they want to be ruled under Kinshasa, the capital of the DRC, and the DRC have made some promises and some progress on finishing their horrible regime and government. So they also promised they're gonna be great allies of South Sudan themselves. And so this is the result. A peaceful end to this war. And I guess the puppet state too. And the before last country that South Sudan's gonna invade is Somalia. So Somalia get obliterated, they lose their capital, piracy is stopped, and in this peace treaty, all of Somalia gets annexed into South Sudan. And they do not mess with Djibouti because they do not want to mess with the UN. And just in case you don't know what the UN is, it's basically this against this. places, but nobody knows. And the reason why is because Djibouti controls the Horn of Africa, and they've got a lot of military bases in them from a lot of diverse and different countries, especially from the West over here, but also I believe some from China and Russia and stuff, and India. So there you go, the UAE as well. Just keep in mind that countries like Egypt, Turkey, Israel, Russia, China, and the UAE have been supplying South Sudan during their horrendous acts. So I would say that these countries would not supply for the bad. I don't know Sudan too good, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't. But there you go, right? Finally, the last country that South Sudan is going to declare war on today is Tanzania. And so they're finally gonna connect with 2 lakes. They wanted to connect from all the sides except for this one that has Zambia owning the south tip, but it's fine. They can go along the entire river. They put some ships over to it to block any Tanzanian troops, and then from this lake as well, and then from the east, and then they try to block their coastline because that's what you do if you want to stop a country. They hit Lake Malawi and they surround the entire country. The country does not surrender, and then they get more and more surrounded until they have a really big spearhead cutting the country into 2, capturing the capital of Tanzania, and they can get this one to neutralize itself, and the one in the south surrenders, and in this peace treaty, you guessed it, Tanzania gets fully annexed into South Sudan. That's literally one of the biggest empires ChatGPT has generated me in Africa. So at the end, Chad get more autonomy, and they get really stable, and they get under US control, and they stop any like Russians from going there, do what Russians do in Africa, bad things. They stay a strong ally, but that's basically it. Let's draw the flag of South Sudan. Okay guys, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video because I did. I love you all so much, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.